Have you ever wondered what makes a country tick? What rules and quirks are hiding behind those fancy postcards and Instagram-worthy photos? Now imagine you're planning your next big adventure and you step off the plane, ready to explore, only to find out chewing gum could land you in jail, or that it's a crime to run out of gas on the highway. Welcome to a world where laws make you scratch your head and question reality. Buckle up, because today, we're diving into the 15 strangest forbidden things around the world that will make you rethink your next travel itinerary. Are you ready to discover just how weird the world can get? Let's start the countdown. Number 15, chewing gum Singapore. Think twice before you pop that minty fresh gum into your mouth if you're strolling around Singapore. In the 90s, this island city-state decided that enough was enough when it came to the sticky residue left on streets, benches, and public spaces. Since then, selling or importing chewing gum has been forbidden unless it's for medical reasons. Caught with a stick? You might be facing a hefty fine or even community service. But here's the twist. Singaporeans take pride in their clean, orderly streets. The government's strict gum ban is a testimony to their commitment to cleanliness. If you're caught with gum, the authorities won't hesitate to dish out some hardcore punishment, think hefty fines or even jail time. However, over the years, some exceptions have been made for therapeutic gum. Imagine that, chewing gum with a prescription, a clean and spotless city at the cost of your favorite bubble-blowing pastime. As quirky as it sounds, this law reflects Singapore's no-nonsense approach to governance and its determination to maintain an immaculately clean environment. So next time you're thinking of freshening your breath in Singapore, you might want to reconsider and stick to a mint instead. Your wallet and your freedom will thank you. Number 14, high heels in historical sites, Greece. Love your stilettos and planning a trip to Greece? Well, it's time to rethink your footwear choices. In Greece, particularly at historical sites like the Acropolis, wearing high heels is strictly forbidden. The reason? The ancient marble and limestone are delicate, and sharp heels can cause irreparable damage. So, if you're planning on visiting these breathtaking monuments, make sure you're rocking some flat, sensible shoes. The law might sound extreme, but it's all about preservation. These historical sites have seen thousands of years of footsteps, and the Greek government wants to ensure they'll last a few thousand more. The irony? High heels have also been a symbol of elegance and sophistication, just like Greece's ancient heritage. It's a classic case of fashion versus history. So, ladies and adventurous gents, save the stilettos for your night out in Athens. When it comes to exploring Greece's ancient wonders, it's all about practicality over pizzazz. After all, who needs heels when you're walking in the footsteps of the gods? Number 13. Running out of gas on the Autobahn, Germany. The German Autobahn is legendary among speed enthusiasts. With sections that have no speed limits, it's the ultimate road trip for anyone who loves to feel the wind in their hair and the rumble of the engine. But there's one rule you must follow: never ever run out of gas on the Autobahn. It's not just inconvenient, it's illegal. Why is this the case? On the Autobahn, there's no room for error, and stopping on the shoulder is only permitted for emergencies. And guess what? Running out of fuel is not considered an emergency. It's considered poor planning. If you run dry, you could face a fine or even points on your license. So here's the paradox. While you're free to push your car to its limits at breakneck speeds, you're expected to be meticulously prepared for the journey. It's a high-speed game of trust and responsibility. For a country known for its engineering prowess, this rule makes perfect sense. Just make sure your tank is full, or you'll find yourself paying more than just the price of fuel. Number 12. Public displays of affection, India. If you're planning a romantic getaway to India, be warned. Holding hands or sharing a kiss in public can get you into serious trouble. While India is a land of vibrant culture, rich traditions, and Bollywood romance, public displays of affection are considered a big no-no. You could end up facing the wrath of local authorities or worse, an angry mob. The reasoning behind this might seem confusing to outsiders, especially given India's colorful, romantic cinematic culture. But for many, PDA is seen as a violation of public decency and moral conduct. The laws aren't just antiquated, they're deeply rooted in cultural norms that prioritize modesty. So even though you might be inspired by a Bollywood film, keep your hand-holding and kisses behind closed doors. For travelers, it's a culture shock that can lead to some awkward encounters. But hey, when in Rome, or rather when in Mumbai, do as the Mumbai cars do. Show your love through a meaningful gaze or a subtle smile. It's all part of the local charm. Number 11. Being overweight, Japan. In Japan, fitness isn't just a personal goal, it's practically a legal requirement. That's right, in 2008, Japan introduced the Metabo law, which essentially put a cap on how big your waistline could be. Men over 40 must maintain a waistline under 33.5 inches, while women need to keep it below 35.4 inches. If you don't comply, your employer might have something to say about it. But before you imagine police officers with measuring tapes, it's more about prevention than punishment. The government aims to combat rising healthcare costs associated with obesity and lifestyle diseases. Companies and local governments are held responsible for ensuring their employees and residents stay healthy. Talk about peer pressure, right? While this rule may sound strict, it reflects Japan's collective approach to health and well-being. So if you're thinking of relocating to Japan, you might want to hit the gym or risk a public weigh-in at your next checkup. Number 10. No reincarnation without permission, China, Tibet. Tibet, a region rich in spiritual traditions and the concept of reincarnation, faces one of the most bizarre laws ever. In 2007, the Chinese government decreed that Tibetan Buddhist monks must get government approval before reincarnating. Yes, you read that right. You need a government-issued permit to come back to life. This rule isn't about quashing superstition, it's more about control. Tibet's unique religious practices have long been a point of contention between the region and the Chinese government. By regulating reincarnation, China is essentially tightening its grip on Tibet's religious and political landscape. It's a move that sounds more like something out of a dystopian novel than real life. For Tibetans, reincarnation is a deep spiritual belief. The idea of getting government approval for it is both absurd and offensive. But for now, even the afterlife is caught in the bureaucracy. Number 9. Flushing the toilet. After 10 p.m., Switzerland. Imagine living in a place where flushing your toilet could turn you into a lawbreaker. In some apartment buildings in Switzerland, flushing your toilet after 10 p.m. is considered a form of noise pollution and is strictly forbidden. This law is particularly bizarre as it turns a basic human need into a potential neighborhood scandal. Better to time your bathroom trips wisely. The reasoning behind this rule is rooted in Switzerland's obsession with peace and quiet. The Swiss are known for valuing their tranquility, and noise restrictions are common. From mowing your lawn to playing loud music, if it disturbs the peace, it's off limits. But the toilet ban is perhaps the most extreme example of their dedication to a noise-free environment. However, not all cantons enforce this rule strictly. Some see it more as a guideline. If you're staying in a traditional Swiss apartment, consider yourself warned. That midnight flush could cost you more than embarrassment. It could land you in trouble with the neighbors or even the landlord. So, hold it in or plan ahead. The quiet night of Switzerland demands it. Number 8. Wearing camouflage Barbados. Camouflage clothing might be fashionable in some parts of the world, but if you wear it in Barbados, you're asking for trouble. The Caribbean nation has a strict law forbidding civilians, including tourists, from wearing any form of camouflage clothing. It's not just a fashion faux pas, it's illegal, and the authorities are serious about it. Why the fuss? The rule is in place to prevent civilians from being confused with members of the military or the police. Camouflage is strictly reserved for the armed forces, and wearing it as a civilian could make you a target for legal action. Tourists have been known to have their trendy camouflage shorts or hats confiscated by customs upon entry. If you're packing for a trip to Barbados, leave the camo at home. The tropical paradise is all about vibrant colors, beachwear, and relaxation. There's no need to look like you're ready for combat. Unless you want to spend your vacation explaining your fashion choices to the local police, steer clear of those green and brown patterns. Number 7. Using black cars Turkmenistan. Driving a black car in Turkmenistan? Not a chance. In this Central Asian nation, owning or driving a black car is frowned upon, and even outright banned in some cities. The eccentric president, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedow, reportedly prefers white cars, seeing them as symbols of good fortune and prosperity. Black cars, on the other hand, are considered unlucky. This law is part of a broader trend of unconventional rules in Turkmenistan, a country known for its unique blend of tradition and strict governance. The government has even gone so far as to offer free car washes for white cars, while black cars are routinely impounded or forced to be repainted in lighter colors. This has led to a booming business in auto paint shops, where drivers queue to swap their dark hues for something lighter and more politically correct. So, if you're planning a road trip through Ashgabat, you might want to consider a more neutral color palette for your ride. Otherwise, your black beauty might just become a white wonder before you even hit the road. Number 6. Ketchup in school cafeterias, France. Ketchup, a beloved condiment around the world, has been banned in school cafeterias across France since 2011. But why, you ask? The French Ministry of Education introduced the law to preserve traditional French cuisine and reduce unhealthy eating habits among children. Simply put, ketchup was seen as an assault on the French way of life, particularly its food culture. The French take their cuisine seriously, viewing it as an art form and a crucial part of their heritage. In a land where food is savored and celebrated, allowing students to drown their croque-monsieurs and green beans in ketchup was seen as culinary blasphemy. So, while French kids can still enjoy fries with a dash of ketchup once a week, it's strictly controlled, ensuring they grow up appreciating the finer flavors of French cooking. For all you ketchup lovers planning to study in France, don't panic. You can still enjoy it at home, but if you're hoping to smuggle it into the cafeteria, be prepared to face the wrath of the lunch monitors and the long arm of French culinary tradition. Number 5. Playing Scrabble in English Iran. Board games can be fun, but in Iran, playing Scrabble in English is a controversial choice. The game is allowed, but the English language version is strictly prohibited, as it's seen as promoting Western culture. You could find yourself in hot water if you're caught spelling out Quizify or Jazz in a game of Scrabble while on vacation in Tehran. Iran's aversion to Western influence has led to several unique bans, and Scrabble isn't the only board game on the list. The Iranian government has an ongoing effort to curtail the spread of Western culture and language. This means that if you're planning a game night, better opt for the Farsi version, or better yet, a different game entirely. So, next time you're in Iran and feel like indulging in some good old wordplay, make sure it's in the local language. Quaff or za could still earn you those coveted triple word scores without causing a cultural commotion. Number 4. Banning baby walkers, Canada. In Canada, baby walkers, those little contraptions that help babies scoot around before they can walk, are illegal. Yes, that's right. If you own, sell, or even lend a baby walker, you could face hefty fines or even jail time. Canada became the first country to ban baby walkers in 2004, citing safety concerns and developmental delays they could cause in infants. The ban stems from a genuine concern for child safety. Studies showed that baby walkers could cause accidents, such as falls downstairs, and could lead to developmental issues by promoting unnatural movement patterns. So, in the Great White North, you're better off helping your baby learn to walk the old-fashioned way, holding their tiny hands and cheering them on. For new parents in Canada, baby-proofing your home means tossing out the walker. But don't worry, there are plenty of other ways to encourage those first wobbly steps. After all, there's nothing quite like a baby learning to walk without a set of wheels doing the work. Number 3. Celebrating Valentine's Day, Saudi Arabia. While the rest of the world indulges in chocolates, flowers, and candlelit dinners on February 14th in Saudi Arabia, Valentine's Day is strictly off-limits. The holiday is considered un-Islamic by the religious police, and any display of love, red roses, or even heart-shaped items can land you in trouble. The rationale behind the ban is rooted in the belief that Valentine's Day promotes relationships outside of marriage, which is against Islamic values. Florists and gift shops are closely monitored to ensure they aren't selling any red or romantic-themed products. Those who defy the ban might face fines, store closures, or worse. So if you're in Saudi Arabia and feeling the love, it's best to keep things low-key. A simple, heartfelt message might suffice. Love, after all, isn't about how much you spend, it's about how much you feel, even in a place where expressing it publicly could lead to serious consequences. Number 2, having an unusual name Denmark. If you're hoping to name your child something unique in Denmark, prepare for some red tape. The country has a list of pre-approved names for babies, and anything outside that list requires special permission from the government. Names that could expose children to ridicule or are considered unconventional are outright banned. The reason? Denmark wants to protect children from unfortunate names that could cause them problems later in life. The list of 7,000 approved names ensures that every Danish child has a name that's culturally appropriate and free from potential teasing. This might sound overly controlling, but it's all about maintaining social harmony and avoiding unusual names like Anarchy or Pepsi. For new parents in Denmark, it's best to stick to the list or face the hassle of navigating bureaucracy. And remember, while a name might seem cool or unique, sometimes tradition has its benefits, especially when it keeps your child out of a lifetime of awkward introductions. Number 1, feeding pigeons Venice. In the top spot of our countdown is a rule that might surprise you. Feeding pigeons in Venice is strictly prohibited. The city, known for its romantic canals and historic architecture, has a love-hate relationship with these feathered inhabitants. Feeding them could land you with a hefty fine, so think twice before tossing that crumb. Why the ban? Pigeons have become a nuisance in Venice, damaging historical buildings with their droppings and overwhelming public squares with their sheer numbers. The city decided to take a stand to protect its cultural heritage by banning the feeding of pigeons. Tourists and locals alike have to keep their bread and snacks away from these birds if they want to avoid penalties. So while Venice is all about charm and history, don't be tempted to add a few pigeons to the experience. The real beauty lies in its architecture, gondolas, and delicious food, not in a flock of hungry birds chasing after your sandwich. And there you have it, the 15 strangest forbidden things and the countries where they happen. Who knew the world could be so full of unexpected rules and quirky bans? Have any of these left you shocked or amused? Let us know in the comments which one surprised you the most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of our crazy journey through the world's most unusual laws. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.